What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back again with another video, and this one right here is all about Mohamed and Eve. Now, before we get into it, let's start off by giving a big massive shout out to every single person that is a member of the channel, that is a member of Patreon, and that is a subscriber as we continue to grow. Now, in terms of this video, I've been on Reddit and I've been looking at people talking about the situation regarding Eve and Mohamed, and that obviously most recently Eve has come out to accuse Mohamed of immigration fraud. Now, because of that accusation itself in particular, people are now talking about what could happen to Mohamed if he was actually to be found guilty for immigration fraud. Would he be able to actually come back to the United States at a later stage in his life after all said and done? Well, here's the thing: due to so much research that I have done, it's a bit of a hit or miss. But I've come to the conclusion where I believe once he actually gets deported, he can never come back to the United States, to the UK, to Canada, and I believe Australia as well. There may be another country too, because once you have that behind your name, it pretty much challenges your chance of ever re-entering any one of these countries, especially if you come from a country that is challenging already to get a visa. Now, Egypt happens to be one of those countries that residents find it hard to get visas to actually move to places like the UK or the US or Canada or Australia. So the matter of the fact is, I think, and also New Zealand as well. So the matter of the fact is, Mohamed has put himself in a situation that is pretty much stupid. I mean, at the end of the day, it is very clear that Mohamed's primary reason to come to the States was obviously to get the green card anyway, because he referenced new sponsor, sponsor this, sponsor that multiple times throughout the season. And to be honest with you, this is one of the reasons why a lot of people have not come. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people do not actually feel sorry for Eve, because all the signs were there. In fact, even talking about the most recent recording that we played yesterday on this channel and is floating around YouTube anyway, I mean, the social media platforms anyway, of obviously Eve shouting and screaming at Mohamed, it was evident that those events even happened before the wedding itself in particular. So the fact that they had this quarrel before the wedding, it begs to differ. Why would she still continue to go ahead with the wedding? And also on top of that, let's not forget, there was a part earlier on in the season where Mohamed said, well, you can buy my ticket, I can go back home. Obviously, he was bluffing, but at the same time, though, that was her chance to say, you know what, it's going to be cheaper to buy you a ticket rather than to pay for a divorce, and let alone pay for a whole wedding as well. But the matter of the fact is, Eve was so hell-bent and so naive to get the wedding that she wanted, she decided to ignore all red flags, and you sit there and think to yourself, well, why? And I think this is the thing, though, because obviously these are some things that we witness on a TV show. These things actually might even work in Mohamed's favor, because the red flags were there. Now, of course, can you use a TV show in court? I don't think that's something that you can do, but sometimes in some situations, some things can be used depending on what type of lawyer you've got and what kind of leeway or what kind of power or persuasion that they have to get certain evidence thrown in there. But again, it's very unlikely they can use anything that came from the TV shows of particular. But the end of the day is that Eve has put herself in a position that she could have easily not put herself in. But also at the same time, the Mohamed is also putting himself in a position where he could have easily not been in, because it was very, very simple on both sides. Eve, all she had to do was not marry Mohamed and send him back to Egypt to avoid this whole kerfuffle. But at the same time, though, Mohamed, all he had to do was play the game for that bit longer, and he could have got his freaking green card. I mean, clearly, Mohamed is not as smart as someone like Pedro, shall we say. Of course, people are still mixed feelings about Pedro's intentions, whether his intentions were pure at the beginning or if they were always for the green card. But hey, we'll never really know with Pedro, right? But at the end of the day, when it came to Mohamed and Eve, the saddest thing and the most annoying and the most infuriating thing about their story is that both of them played the whole situation completely wrong and completely off. And I sit here and I wonder, and I say to myself, how did they even make it this far? I mean, bear in mind, these two were already in a relationship for 2 years prior to obviously being on the show and obviously prior to Mohamed coming to the States. But in that timeline, did they not recognize any of the red flags that they already had? Because surely, the amount of red flags they had throughout the series, they would have definitely had those beforehand. But then again, though, there is the conversation where Mohamed did express certain things to Eve before coming to the States, and obviously before the relationship became serious. And I believe, from my opinion and based on what we saw, Eve probably more than likely agreed to a lot of things that Mohamed had requested. But of course, on the show, Mohamed expresses multiple times, but we talked about this, but I told you this. Eve was like, no, we didn't know this. Or she did sometimes admit that she changed her freaking mind. So really and true, when we're looking at this situation, it's actually the most, not even bizarre, but it's the most simple of situations possible But you sit and you think to yourself, how did you get yourself here though? With all the elements in front of us, we got so much evidence to say that this relationship never gone as far as it went. But annoyingly, it still went as far as it went, purely because Mohamed didn't know how to play the game for a bit longer, and also because Eve just had to be held bent on getting married to a guy who she probably knew didn't want to, no longer loved her, and also marry a guy that was evidently making it clear that he was there for a green card. Hence the reason why he said sponsor multiple times. And also on top of that, when it came to Eve, and this is the difference between Eve and Mohamed. Mohamed, on the other hand, he was just in the States on his own. Obviously, he had people, the mosque, I do apologize, I got that wrong. There's a synagogue. Oh, I get the synagogue is Jewish. Mosque is definitely, yes. So even when he went there to obviously meet, to obviously have a conversation and whatnot, it's not like Mohamed had too many people around him. But with Eve now, the thing that's even more frustrating is that even before Mohamed even flew over, she had a meeting with the squad. The squad warned her about it. She ignored them. Then Mohamed comes in. There's another meeting with the squad, but this time Mohamed was there, and guess what? She still ignores them. And then even throughout the season, she was obviously meeting one of her friends, ignored her friend. Before the wedding, what she do? She ignored her friend, knowing that even before that wedding happened, she already had an argument with Mohamed. And then even at the tell-all, asking Mohamed to make up with her friend. For what reason? Because by the time the tell-all had come out, it was evidently clear at that point they'd already pretty much split anyway. Because really and truly, I mean, well, not necessarily split, but it was very evident anyway that they were already going for their issues. So why she would have thought it would be okay for him to make amends with his friend is absolutely irate and doesn't make any freaking sense. And this is one of the most difficult situations of all time because you really don't know which side to sit on. And that's the thing, you can't really sit on a side. You just got to play. You just got to call it down the freaking middle. And the middle is very, very simple. Eve is a naive, absolute moron who has put herself in an uneasy, uncomfortable, unnecessary situation, knowing that she has a son to tend to, knowing that she has a son to tend to, knowing that she has a responsibility for another human being that is her son, but yet she wanted to put herself in a position with someone else that was going to be and was already toxic. Meanwhile, Mohamed, well, I mean, it was very clear after he had the phone call with his mother, she was more than happy for him to stick out the relationship, and she wanted him to stay there because she didn't want him to come back home unless he got his green card. Well, at least, well, she didn't say that necessarily, but I'm pretty sure that's what she was insinuating throughout that video call that we did witness throughout this season anyway. But again, with Mohamed, it is very clear that throughout the season, he was obviously talking to another woman. But here's the thing though, he wasn't just talking to one woman, he was now allegedly talking to two women as well at the same time whilst in a relationship with Eve and also whilst the theme filming was happening. And I just sit there and I say to myself, why would you entertain other women before you even get your green card? Freaking idiot. And either way, each is of their own. Mohamed and Eve clearly both deserve each other in the sense of they're both freaking plonkers. But of course, rightly so, it's good that they've gone separate ways. But in terms of Mohamed now, to be honest with you, does he even deserve the green card at this point? Hell to the freaking no, because he's a freaking idiot. Simple as that. And even on the other hand, Lord knows whether she'll ever actually find true love. But to be honest with you, her priority should just be on her son, because I'm actually sickened to the fact that she has not prioritized her son over all of this stuff. Because really and truly, any mother out there or any parent out there that has a child, it doesn't matter whether your child is on the spectrum or not, but you've got a child that you have to look after. You will not bring toxic energy into your son's life or your daughter's life. But hey, Eve, on the other hand, is naive, only thinks about Eve. And that is the most frustrating thing. But nonetheless, though, will Mohamed, if Mohamed gets deported, would he be able to enter the US ever again? The chances are very, very slim. And that also means that he probably will not also be able to enter Canada or the UK or any of or Australia or New Zealand. I think there's another one too. So really and truly, Mohamed, shot yourself in the foot, and it's peak. But nonetheless, though, ladies and gentlemen, I know the video was actually meant to be pure around Mohamed getting deported, but then I went off on a whim. But then again, though, it was hard not to, because after you read everything that you read on Reddit, you're like, anyway, thank you so much for your time. Like, subscribe, and peace. Oh yeah, give me your comments in the